Today is something else, but something else that is nice and inspired. The best of the best when it comes to cuts of pork. From Rastelli's, you are getting 6 ounces each of his premium pork ribeyes with the Tuscan butter just to up the experience. Now, more of these just arrived. Works out to be about $7 each because it's just under $70. It's $17.50 on an easy pay. Lock this in on auto delivery. Believe you me, because this price, and if you've never had these before, it will blow your mind. Auto delivery is every 90 days for an entire year. It's M92625. This is what you're getting. These are expertly hand trimmed, so it's an end-to-end eating experience, a touch of marbling like a real ribeye would have, but none of that fat on the outside. All right, Ray Rastelli is back with me to talk about premium pork ribeyes.
Yes, and Julia, a picture says lots, and if you look at the juice inside of this pork ribeye steak, and I call it a pork ribeye steak because it gets its feelings hurt if you call it a pork chop.
Don't do it.
You can cook this just like you cook a steak, right? And that's why I wanted to show you. And look how nice and thick it is. It's got no fat on the outside because, as you said, our butchers trim this. But this is very special pork. This is pork that comes from the Pennsylvania Dutch country. These are farmers I've worked with for almost 45 years, so I trust what they do. And when it gets to the butcher shop, it's the #1 selling item in the butcher shop. And part of the reason is because how juicy and lean it is, but let me show you the other reason. Watch. I'm not going to use a fork. I'm just going to use a knife. I'm going to go right through the center of this thick, juicy pork chop.
Look at that fork tender.
With a fork. This is what we call pork for a fork. Look at how simple that is. I mean, you can just go, and this is not a magic fork. I'm just going right through every single piece with a fork. So when you get this at home, and I will tell you, this has been a favorite. The folks call my office and they go, Ray, are you sure that's pork? Yeah, it's as tender as veal. It can be used, anything you use for chicken or for veal recipes. If you do it with this pork, you're going to be amazed at the flavor profile and how juicy and tender this is.
I need to take a bite of this. Because our food stylist, Steve, he actually said that this is one of his favorite things that you bring. And that's big coming from Steve.
That is. I mean, Steve is the king at everything we do here. But look at that. When you can cut it with a fork.
Oh, it's so juicy.
Yes. And of course, we put that Tuscan herb butter with it in case you want to drop that Tuscan herb butter right on top. I like to do it after I finish cooking it. So once I finish cooking it, it just melts in your mouth.
It does.
It just
That's
melts
exactly
in your
what
mouth.
I was going to say, Ray.
Yes, exactly.
This is out of this world. This is so tender. It's soft, but still meaty at the same time. There's so much flavor, and it just bursts with juice.
It does, and I'm going to just cut through another one because I want you to see, first of all, how the knife just kind of glides through it because it's so incredibly tender. And I'll show you why, because I'll show you the pork in a minute, but I want you to see how juicy this is. Now this, you can see the color in this because it's a ribeye. So a ribeye has the decal portion, which is here, and you have the center. But what you don't see is fat. You don't see any fat. We take all the fat off of it, and I want you to realize why, because this is a prime rib of pork.
Okay.
And what's a prime rib of pork? So a prime rib of pork is just like a prime rib of beef, right? It's the most tender. It's really got an incredible amount of marbling, as you can see here. So we've taken all the bones off of it. We've taken the outer fat, and we've cut these beautiful steaks out of this. So you can cook it just like I did here in a skillet. You can put it in your oven and bake it. You can shake it with some breadcrumb if you'd like and bake it in the oven. You can do so many different things. In fact, Julia, I did a couple of kebabs here.
Those look good.
I want you to taste that. And the reason I say it is because most people with kebabs, right, the meat is always tough because the vegetables are done. I want you to try this. Now, here, we're going to go, let's first of all, let me go through that with a fork for you, right? Just with a fork, I'll go right through the center of that.
On it?
So that's got a little bit of our barbecue sauce on there. But how tender is that pork? I mean, it's so, and that's simple to do. These two kebabs I made out of one of these pork steaks because the pork steak is 6 ounces, and you get an awful lot of meat when there is no fat at all.
This is next level.
It is.
This is how it comes, by the way. Each one is individually vacuum sealed, right?
That's right.
And you'll put it straight in your freezer and defrost first?
Defrost first, let it get to room temperature. I always like to do that, and then go ahead and drop it in a skillet, drop it in the oven, put it in the air fryer. Anything you do, I guarantee you it's going to be tender, juicy, And the things you can do with it are
And
absolutely
it's
incredible.
so flavorful.
Yeah, as I said, the very first time I tried this, I thought it was marinated or
Right.
seasoned.
Yes.
And I was
Right.
like, no, that's what it actually tastes like when it's really great quality. Of all of the products that you bring to us, Ray, this and the burgers are like my two
Are
favorite
they?
things because they're easy, they're delicious, and you've never ever tried pork like
good.
this. Like, it's not a pork chop. Don't insult it.
That's right. That's right. Here I did a schnitzel. Look
All
at the size of that. That's one.
Only one.
That's one piece. All I did was pound it out.
It's so juicy.
And it's so soft.
Anything you do
Yes,
with chicken,
it is
anything
so
you do
soft.
with a steak, do it with this instead, and it changes the experience.
It does.
So
Oh my
we're
God,
getting
look at
10 of them, and each one is 6 ounces, by the way. So you're getting a lot of food here. This is what it looks like. You get the Epicurean butter as well. It's $69.98. It works out to be about $7 each. And this is the best of the best in the world of pork. Oh my gosh, did you make a Parmesan?
I
You're
did.
killing
And
me.
again, that's one piece. That's just one
Look at that
piece flattened
cheese
out. We
on
made a
there.
farm with that.
Oh, what are you doing to me, my friend? Yeah, please, please. The show's almost over. I'll meet you in the halls. $17.50 brings it home. We have 400 people placing orders right now as we speak. So keep that in mind. There is an auto delivery option here every 90 days for a year. You're going to fall in love with them. $17.50 on an easy pay. By the way, you lock in that easy pay. You lock in the sale price when you opt in for auto delivery. Every 90 days for a year, it's M92625. You see how I still have mine on my
You
fork
still
and I
have it there.
refuse to relinquish it? I refuse. Thank you so much for being
Thank you so
here.
much.
I always love you, Ray.
Thank you.
Is she gonna walk over with the fork?
I know.
Done it.
Frank literally told me to leave the fork. He said, put down the fork.
I know.
And
We
go
have
join